and welcome back to In the Kitchen, Conversations on IoT. I'm your host, Kerry Siggins, CEO of StoneAge, parent company of Breadware, and I'm so glad you're here today. And with me, I have Steve Timperley, and he is the Chief Revenue Officer for Viagio, and he's going to tell us all about that. Steve, thanks for being on the show with me today.
Thanks for having me, Kerry. Really appreciate it.
All right, so tell us what Viagio does.
So Viagio is a custom software development company. So we are based in Kansas City, and we help companies throughout the Midwest, large and small, build custom software. And that can be web applications, mobile applications, sophisticated back-end cloud applications. And they are typically built in a way that either helps drive efficiency within their business, helps solve an interesting problem inside of their business, or helps them take advantage of a new market opportunity to try and grow their business.
That's great. So in full disclosure, Viagio is working with StoneAge, helping us write a custom software system for an IoT-enabled product that we have for the industrial cleaning space. So we're right in the midst of this with you. What do you enjoy the most about working on a project like you are with StoneAge?
Well, one of the most important pieces is we got really talented people that love to work with other talented people. And when teams can come together and kind of form one team from two different parties with one goal, that's an awesome thing to see. And our team has absolutely loved working with the StoneAge team. And it's got some really interesting problems to try and solve. It's data visualization, it's working with an IoT device in the industrial side that you guys have developed over the years. And it's a lot of interesting challenges. There was a very tight timeline for us to try and get something out the door. And with those kind of rails and challenges, you got to get creative on how you deliver it. And our team honestly just loved every minute of it. There was great pressure, but great camaraderie with the StoneAge team, and it was awesome. It's been a fun project.
Yeah, that's great. We have certainly appreciated your expertise in this area, and it's really important for the advancement of IoT. So how do you look at IoT through the lens of custom software development, particularly helping your clients grow their businesses?
Yeah, so we've actually built quite a lot of experience over the years in how software interacts with IoT devices. And the nature of our business is it's always a custom solution, right? So everyone is a little unique, but some of the consistencies around it is typically IoT devices are out there to collect data. And they're collecting that data to then drive some type of value that needs to be interacted with or viewed through a software application. And how you leverage value from that data is a key piece of all of it. So, we've had examples of a children's hospital here in Kansas City where their biggest challenge was navigating the facility, and beacons that would push out location information and tie it to a mobile app was a key solution to enable a mobile app with turn-by-turn navigation inside the hospital. So you could help a parent who's already in a really stressful situation in having a sick child. You can help them navigate to exactly where they need to go to for their appointment. So it's been fun to see how IoT devices just collect data that really enables a lot of different functionality within software.
And what do you think, let me say it again. And what do you wish people knew, those of us out there developing IoT devices and then come to you for custom software? What do you wish that they knew about the work that you do and how you could really help them, get to market faster or on budget or stay on budget, ideally?
Yeah. So budget is always a really interesting topic when it comes to trying to be innovative, and most of our clients are trying to build something innovative. If you're trying to build a CRM, we would suggest don't do it. There's 1,000 to choose from. Go pick one, right? So when you're choosing to build custom, particularly with IoT, there's a lot of complexities around it, and it's difficult to predict how much it's going to cost if it's really successful, and B, what that path kind of looks like. So we are big fans of MVP, a minimum viable product. If you've got a new solution that you're trying to make sure that you've got a hypothesis on whether it'll be successful and you want a minimum viable product to prove that out. I think the biggest thing is if you want to minimize the investment to prove that hypothesis, recognize that it means what you've built won't necessarily scale to this massive vision that you have. Sometimes you need to minimize that investment, prove it out, and then reinvest now that you've proven it's going to be successful to make sure that it can take you to the next level. Does that make sense?
It does. And that is frustrating. So being knowing how to build products, right? Mechanical products.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily this idea of an MVP that has to be rebuilt, right? You iterate, do some field testing, but certainly after, especially doing something for 40 years, we can get it pretty right. Some pretty easy iterations. But that's one of the things that I've learned going down this path, and we built our own software system to to be able to connect the data, to have log in for a place for all of our clients to log into, and we started down that path. And then when we're like, "Ooh, this isn't scalable," and now we basically have to do the whole thing. Now it did that job, right? The MVP.
Yep.
We learned a lot, and we can iterate, and now we know what we want, this next version of the product to look like. But man, we spent a lot of money to get that, and it's not ready for market. And then I think that's been an interesting learning lesson for me, not being on the software side of things and being pretty good at product development and product launch, and just realizing it's a whole different ball game when you're doing IoT, especially when you're trying to build that data visualization or data analytics platform.
Yeah, and hindsight is always 2020. So as you learn these things, it's difficult to predict all the things that could happen. But I think one of the most important things is taking a step back and trying to recognize where this could go and how much to invest up front, so that there are times where if you put in more investment up front, you don't necessarily have to rebuild it as you grow.
Right.
But those start getting further and further away from an MVP. So it really boils down to how confident are you that this is going to be a long-term play, or do you need to prove something out first? And the lighter weight it is, the more the chances are you're going to need to redo aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Well, that's been part of our learning curve, and of course, as we continue down this path, we've learned a lot. And it felt like an expensive lesson, but who knows yet, right? We'll see.
Yeah.
When this thing is said and done, you say, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, that was a minor thing for what we've created."
Yeah. And the key is the lessons, right? As long as you're learning, you're getting better. And from what I know about the product that you created, you've got some fantastic experience in it. It's a unique differentiator for you. So the investment sounds like it's going to be fantastic for your business.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks for helping us. What brings me to? Sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say on the investment side, I often compare it to something that people can more easily relate to, which is buildings, right? So if you're building a foundation for a 3-story building, and after you've built that foundation and built the building, and you say, "Man, this is awesome. Let's make it 20 stories." Foundation ain't going to work anymore, right? So it doesn't always directly relate, but that's the closest thing we can come up with when we're talking to someone about big plans of how they want to scale and expand, and we're looking at a code base and saying, "We think we may need to redo a lot of things here."
Yeah, I love that analogy. I think that's so right. And most people aren't going to say, "I'm going to build a 3-story building, but it needs to go to 20." And we do that though when we are developing product, especially software. And so I can appreciate I can appreciate that, because that's what I did. I built something that was ready for a 3-story, and then it's like, "Ooh, the vision is 20." no, gotta redo it.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And the hard part there is if you were to build a foundation for 20 and then you added three to it and then you never got to 20, you would have spent a lot more money than you needed to on that
Mhm,
foundation.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's the balance.
Yep. Nope. I totally appreciate that. And I think it's a great analogy. Definitely helps me put it into perspective. All right. So now let's talk build versus buy. Right. So I went down the path of trying to build it myself and then realizing, okay, I need an expert to come in and build it for me. What are your thoughts on that? And how, would you advise people who are looking to build an IoT product to look at build versus buy when it comes to software development?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different aspects to that. First, how tied to your company long-term strategy is the intellectual property that you're building? So, is it a differentiator? Is it an additional value add to your overall value? And that can be a key driver. I think most important is how unique is it? And I think it's always worthwhile to evaluate what else is in the market and whether there are aspects of it that you can leverage. Because sometimes unique is how you apply various off the shelf solutions together to make it unique to yourself. Sometimes there are portions of your overall solution that you could get off the shelf, and then you need to add customizations to it. And then there are other times where it's just a critical part of your long term strategy. You want the IP, you see the value that that'll create, and it really does differentiate you from your competition. And it just makes sense for you to try and build it yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Ah,
Um,
great.
yep.
Yeah. I like that.
And
I like that.
and building custom is always more expensive, and software is never done.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah.
that's one of the hard parts. It's one of the benefits in our business, but it's really tough because especially when you're coming from a physical world, once your product is done, it's done. It can always improve in newer versions. There is a never-ending list of new features
Yep.
that you can continue to build, and hopefully you've got a product that customers love, which means the feature requests will continue to come. And if you've got a model that allows you to continue to invest, you've got a great business that can continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, and I think people, especially on the software side of it, I think that there is an expectation that it's continuously evolving, right? I love the idea of how do you create infatuation with your customers, and infatuation is fleeting. Right?
Yeah,
You think about a new relationship. It's like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm infatuated, and then as time goes on, right, you settle into it. And so, how I talk to my team about it is how do we constantly create those just small little points of infatuation where people can, oh, I love this new feature or what this new service or whatever the particular product that we're talking about is, so that
yeah,
you can just constantly keep that. Oh, I love StoneAge. Oh, I love StoneAge, and
right.
that's what software can do. It's a lot easier to create those points of infatuation within a software platform than it is with a mechanical hardware product, because we're carrying lots and lots of inventory that you want to make a change, then it has such a ripple effect within your business model. Whereas software, yeah, it takes work and it never ends, but you can create those points of infatuation much
Yeah,
more frequently.
for sure. And I think you guys are kind of hitting the best of both worlds by having both hardware and software. So software can create infatuation not just in how they're interacting with the software, but in how StoneAge gets to leverage data to
Right.
provide proactive services to clients that create just a lot of customer loyalty. And that's where it gets exciting is can an IoT device in the field help you better understand your customers and therefore give them fantastic service on top of it before they even knew they needed it.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Agreed. Well, it's been a fun endeavor for sure. And it's really exciting to be figuring out, how Breadware fits into all of this. As we were talking about before we started the show, I have all my companies here to have an engineering summit. And we're really talking about how do you iterate faster, and having a company that focuses on building IoT solutions for their clients end to end is so helpful. And then, with the software platform that's easily customizable, much like what you said, hey, this to get a MVP out here, it's really, really, you can make it fast. And so I'm seeing all the potential that a company like Breadware has with this idea of being able to move quickly and create that MVP and get some products that are out there and a lot faster timeline than what typically would happen, because we have the systems there in place. So it's been a lot of fun thinking about how all of this is going to go together, and I really appreciate that we have like this robust software platform that you all are helping us create, that's going to be that differentiator. So anyway, lots of fun engineering going on around here.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment from the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So, talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how you work with your clients. Like, what makes the experience with Viagio outstanding from your perspective?
Yeah, so I think one of the key pieces for us is we've got a lot of experience building a lot of different applications. We are not great order takers, so we're not the company to choose if you know exactly what it is that you need to build. We come into play with clients that know there is a key opportunity in software, but they need help in figuring out exactly what it should do, and how it should be built.
Mhm.
And our team is fantastic at challenging. So coming together to really think through what is the right solution for our client, how should it be built and architected, and how do we start proving its value as quickly as possible. And another key for us, so it's important to take that step back and think about the long-term roadmap and vision of where you want to go. But then also, in software, there can be lots of ideas that are described with words. And you can have 10 people in a room describing a vision, and there'll be 10 different visions in the minds of all those folks. And if you had an engineer, a software engineer, start to build that, once they're done, they could hand it off to someone and it would be completely different to what they had in their head. So we have a process to allow our UX designers and product managers to start to design the solution before we're coding any of it.
Mhm.
It is a best practice in software, but it is a fantastic way to make sure that there's alignment across all the key stakeholders on what should be built and why. And it's also a fantastic way to get user feedback before you've actually invested in building the code itself. So you can get clickable prototypes that allow you to understand what you're building is in line with what they need before you really start doing the expensive part of the build. So that's been a key part of how we've worked with clients, and we love solving hard problems. That's a key to custom software is if it's been done before, you should probably go find that and use that. If it's unique, it's probably going to be hard to figure out how to do it. And that's where our team thrives on the challenge.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Thank you. Well, that's exactly how we've experienced it as well. So, uh,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's been a lot of fun.
Good, good. For us too. Awesome. All right. So, last question: if there was one piece of advice that you would have for anybody looking to develop an IoT product and come out with an elegant software solution, what would that be?
Well, I'd say if you don't have the experience yourself to do it, finding a partner with the right kind of experience is really, really important. And starting small, it's difficult to have a big vision and immediately start building that vision. So, in my opinion, much like starting a new company, starting a new endeavor in IoT and software, you need to be thinking about the path for how you get to the vision far more so than the vision itself. And that path has different milestones that allow you to mitigate your risk and your investment and show that you can make it successful. So finding a partner that can help you think through all of that is a really important first step. And if it's going to be a software platform, an IoT platform that is absolutely critical to your business, you also need to be thinking about how you're going to take it over, because you eventually want the expertise in-house to be able to service it, and you can leverage partners like Viagio for the build and for future builds. But ultimately, your team, if it's key to your business, you need to be thinking about how to build a team to manage it long term.
Yep, great advice. Very good. Thank you. Well, I so appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your experience and talking IoT and software with me. It's been so much fun.
Well, Kerry, I can't thank you enough for having me. It's been a fantastic partnership, and I was really excited to be a part of this.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And everyone, we will let you go for the day, and we look forward to hosting you on the next episode of In the Kitchen. Thanks, Steve.
Fantastic. Thank you.